Okay, welcome to the Tuesday, February 15th, 2022, regular City Council meeting. Would you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justin, would you like to do the roll call?
Smuck. Here. Nichols. Here. Bean. Here. Siegel. Here. Osborne.
Here.
Number 4, approval of the February 15th, 2022 agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ron, would you, yeah, thank you. Number 5, approval of the February 1st, 2022 regular meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Smuck. Yes. Nichols.
Yes.
Bean.
Yes.
Siegel. Yes. Osborne.
Yes.
Approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion to approve the consent agenda. Or
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 7 is approval of the resolution calendar. All items listed on the resolution calendar will be enacted by one vote unless anybody would like some separate discussion.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Smuck. Yes. Nichols.
Yes.
Bean.
Yes.
Siegel.
yes,
Osborne.
Yes.
Number 8 is public hearing, disposal of city property, 111 Bright Street. I'll take a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing on disposal of city property at 111 Bright Street.
I'll second.
We did not receive any bids regarding 111 Bright Street. I would assume we'll just close it and table the resolution, but I'll take some direction at this point on,
Could you just keep that resolution on file if you do get somebody bids on it, then you,
not that same resolution. I table that, tabled on that resolution, and we do another one to keep them in sequence.
are you asking for a motion to table?
No, we're still in the public hearing and we have someone that would like to speak in regards to that.
Okay, sorry.
Dick Uweather, 32nd Avenue. I was just curious as to how you got such a high price on that piece of property. No water, no sewer, it's fairly buildable. I suppose you could put a mobile home on it. But the neighbors wouldn't like that very well. In the past, we have just calculated the square foot, set a minimum of 10 cents or 25 cents, and sold it for that, generally to the neighboring property owners. But I would like to know where you got 10,000.
I think it's a buildable lot,
Building inspector says it isn't.
huh?
Building inspector says no, it's not.
There's a house on it.
But it wasn't in compliance with the
I
code.
don't know, I'd have to see the square footage of the lot, but the lot's big enough that it is a buildable lot.
To answer your
You
question.
can't buy a lot any place in town that's a buildable lot for $10,000.
Assuming that it's a buildable lot, the building inspector says no, that there's not adequate setbacks there.
Well, that can be regulated too, if it's within just a foot or two.
With like a variance,
You know.
yeah. Okay, well, I just, don't believe that that's a fair price for that. And I guess you'll find out, when and if you get bids. And come summertime, the city will be mowing.
To answer your question, Dick, directly, the initial cost started into about $6,600, which is what the cities had to pay for fees and things in it, so that's where the initial discussion started. And the discussion then amongst council that evening ended up at $10,000. And that a recommendation of a council member, so truly how we ended there was a minimum of 6,600 and then 10,000 was put, and that was what was put into the motion.
Yeah,
And we all
No.
agreed to give it a shot.
Doesn't hurt.
Just to see where
well,
it
it'd
went.
be ideal to recoup costs, but, I think we figured out that, acquiring that house at 111 Bright was a very expensive proposition, and might not ever do that again. But- So, anyway,
I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Resolution 6585, I would just like to speak briefly regarding this. If you would like to continue, I would entertain a motion to table and continue. I don't know if you want to wait until maybe it's warmer, or if you want to publish again and have it on the next agenda.
I don't see there's a big hurry for it, I mean, so it sits there for a year.
But what would you like us to do next with it? I mean, do you want to wait?
Well, I would just
Hold off a
advertise, I
couple
would
months?
just advertise it, and if somebody gets interested, then make out a new resolution.
Okay,
That'd be the best way to do it.
maybe just post it on Facebook again, post it on our website,
And make, I don't, I see the square footage of it and the setback of it, because, as soon as it's a buildable lot, if it isn't a buildable lot, then we gotta,
well, Dick had actually came in today and we were discussing this. By the way, our updated costs on this lot is $72.12. Because we had to have the abstract updated, which was another additional $630. I just wanted to I wanted to let you know that. So I think, advertise it, maybe even, I don't know how expensive, it's so expensive to advertise in the Courier, but maybe even
because
advertise it in
right
the
now it's a
Courier.
poor time to advertise it, you still got snow around and people not
Yeah.
looking at the buildable.
So I mean, I'd take a motion to, maybe hold off until,
I table it
April?
until, April or May,
okay,
and then start over again.
I'll make a motion to table till May.
And that's to table resolution 6585.
that is correct. Can we get a second on that?
Second,
We'll do a roll call.
Thank you. Smock? Yes. Nichols?
Yes,
Beam?
Yes.
Siebel?
yes.
Osborne?
Yes.
Thank you. Number 10, I don't know if Ron was here at this time, but we received a letter from the state auditor's office. This addresses number 10 on the agenda. They are no longer, they picked a handful of cities that they were not going to do their audit anymore. So we got approval from council to go out for quote on that. I sent 4 quotes out, or 4 requests out. I called several cities, asking them who they were using. I asked some cities on, did you get a response? Some of them didn't get a response. We only received 1 response. And actually Bergen KDV reached out to us in advance, and discussed, their whole program and et cetera, et cetera. And they also reached out to Waterworks. Waterworks, did you guys approve that today?
The board approved it, subject to the city approval.
Okay. So we got a better deal by working with Waterworks. Normally we have the same auditor. It'd be $18,000 without Waterworks proceeding with us, but $16,000 with them. our going rate right now, our last audit with the state was over 17,000.
Right, we figured 16 to 18.
Yeah. I was actually impressed at what it came in at, and it sounded like they're also gonna be a service that helps us throughout the year with questions. And they even are recommending that we give them monthly financials. So if there's anything that they catch on a monthly basis, which I thought was really swell, that, you know, they would have conversation with us on the monthly financials that we are preparing.
I also noticed that they do other cities as well. So
Yeah.
that's kind of nice too.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they can refer back to those cities and their experience working with government entities.
Yes,
That's helpful.
Yeah.
I feel.
I totally agree with you. So I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I think it's just as full transparency ahead of time, because I will abstain from this vote. This is my direct employer. So I have very heavy background and know everything and talk with the mayor, but just to avoid, and then even from the audit side, we're verifying that that doesn't perform on their audit to be independent as well. So we've already begun the quality process there because of where I sit here. But just to be fully transparent, that is my employer. So yes, on the government side,
Okay,
no, but we
He's
do
in a
all
different,
kinds of
he's in a
stuff.
different division.
okay.
Yep.
Just curious.
But to answer your question, they have a division that is specifically focused on government. That's all they do, so.
Well, I'll make a motion to accept the low bid of $16,000 from Bergen KDB and the amount of $16,000.
Thank you. We have been talking about the number 11, the request to review and approve design standards for Eagles Landing.
Mrs. Mayor, did you want to call for the vote? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Sure, this meeting done quick.
The design standards for Eagles Landing. In your packets was an updated one from Rose that she went through. She'd taken the request that she received from council regarding the signage, because we wanted to allow the pole signs, but yet we didn't really want to allow billboard signs. And also the face value, if you want to call it that, of the building. What kind of materials are we gonna accept, you know, what do we want the buildings to look like out there? I also had a great conversation with Chris Fischels today regarding the development, regarding a couple offers, that would be the next agenda item on Eagles Landing. And they will work with us as well during site review process, and you know, because there's a lot that goes into that. If we get an offer, you know, they will have exceptions or whatever to stay in compliance with our city recommendations and our design standards. So we're, you know, they're walking hand in hand with us through this process.
Right, and really the design standard is more or less just a table, you know, where they need to get to and then go from there. So, with the changes, I think we're sitting pretty good. So,
I like the feedback that a couple of the other interested parties had wanted and given about what they had seen about some small alterations that were made, and it was very appreciative of all the input. But yeah, I definitely like, if we're not there, we're very, very close.
And we don't have to do anything with it right this second, but once we record the lots with the Blackhawk County, we'll want this piece to go with it. So I want to pretty much ensure that you all feel comfortable moving forward with this.
I don't see anything that's catching my eye to stop. I mean, I like
Okay.
the standards, I like the guidelines that we're using. I'm afraid of what the unknowns, you know, but that's gonna happen.
well,
Yeah.
you're gonna have unknowns on that. And as she was talking to us before, we can always start you know, we don't even have to ever touch this design standard again, and we can still control with the contract side of things. So if there is something that we're noticing is happening over here and just not quite working, then we can put it in the contract that we can, you know, change that. So, you know, sorry.
We're sweeping in on Steve and wanting to
How are
get
you?
cleared up so we can hear.
You know, so that's where, you know, I don't have any problem moving forward with this. I think the biggest thing is to get these, 2 lots, taken care of, get on the move and get going down the road and, quit second guessing ourselves, so.
It's definitely a good start.
I'll take a motion for approval then.
I'll make a motion to approve the design standards for Eagles Landing.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 12, Resolution 6586, setting date of public hearing to dispose of city property. We have 2 lots that currently that are actually 3, so let's just discuss this while we're here. The 2 lots that they are rearing to go, and those are being brought to us by Jim Benda. He's a realtor. He has several nationwide chains that have interest in this area. Initially, it was lots 1 and 3. And when I spoke with him today, they may change to lots 1 and 2. And I said, you know, well, this is the time to do that. And when I spoke to Chris Fischels today, it was like, you know, we are gonna do a counter offer and say, you know, this, and this regarding, you know, we wanna see your, you know, ultimately the site plan before, you know, they start digging or whatever, or what's coming in there. That's all still gonna be up to the council to decide. So, I think we're ready to get going, and like Councilor Beam said, it's time to move. I think probably Mid-American will be in there to get that portion of it completed within the next 3 weeks, because their drop dead date was March 1st.
Right.
So to get that portion of it,
So they'll have lights up and everything probably by the end of next month.
yeah.
What it looks like.
The only thing that's still hanging out there is internet. I will reach out to Lee Grassley again tomorrow with MediaCom. I know, but the fiber portion of it was very expensive. I don't know if that's the direction we wanna go right now. It may be a direction we have to go if MediaCom doesn't make a movement. Anyway, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 6586.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Smug, yes. Nichols,
Yes.
Beam,
Yes.
Siebel,
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Anyhow. 13 is FY23 budget workshop. We have already early up under the approval resolution calendar, approved setting the date of the max levy hearing. That's the first stage of the hearings for the budget. I don't have any changes at this point. I know there is a couple things that are, you know, hanging out there, but they're nothing that's gonna affect this portion of approval. You know, the only thing I wanted to just throw out there was, you know, if we don't come to some kind of a decision with Alcron regarding the law enforcement agreement, you know, we have the American Rescue Funds, and you can use a very large portion, a lot larger than what we received, and consider it lost revenue.
What have they offered?
Right now, It was 1, 3, and 3.
1, 2, 3.
A 3-year agreement, which, so they were, we were kind of winning there because they were willing to do a 3-year agreement. And because of the large increases that we've done over these past 5 years, I can understand them with the 1% the first year. Now, the 3% the second year and the 3% the third year, I think that that's reasonable.
I usually don't back down, but after looking at their sewer plant, what the cost is, I'm flexible.
Thank you, I appreciate that. What's that?
Charles,
I realized, it was kind of funny because Tom Little, I'm sure you're all, I'll just segue for a moment, but he called me and said that they showed up at unannounced, unexpected at the Blackhawk supervisors meeting, pretty much, stating, we're desperate, are you willing to give us any of your American Rescue Funds? Which kind of opened the door for all of us cities. So, I've also, since then, have, sent them our budget for our American Rescue Funds and said, if, at one point you guys are willing to share with us or any of the cities in Blackhawk County, I'd like to be on the agenda as well. So,
Can I say something about the Elkhorn contract real quick?
yes,
All right, I know there's been some controversy on it, and I just want to put it out there that I feel like there's a lot of pointing and saying that we don't want to support Elk Run, and I don't want that to come across as that, because I feel like we all want to support Elk Run, but we want to do it the right way, and we want to be able to basically, in my opinion, provide a service and pay for a service. And just by me looking at the numbers just briefly, from what I can tell, and maybe I'm calculating some things wrong, so maybe I'm off, but we're looking at if we're doing 25 hours servicing Elk Run, then briefly that would be about $50,000 a year for us, and we're at $49,000, so we're barely getting the money that we are providing the service for.
Invested into.
Yeah. And I don't think, what I want to say, I guess, is I don't feel like any of us are trying to say we want to make money. I feel like we're trying to say is we just want to provide the service and get paid for the service. And I know there's been a lot of controversy on that and a lot of pointing fingers saying that we don't want to support Elk Run. That is not at all what I want to see. And I'm quite frankly disappointed in a lot of people who are pointing those fingers, because I feel like there's a lot of pettiness going around, and I feel like we need to come together and support everybody, and that means it goes both ways. Elk Run needs to understand that, we're not looking to make money on this deal, we're just looking to provide a service and get paid for the service. And even at 50,000, 50,400, what I calculated, isn't really even covering everything, but that would pretty much be even, for what we're offering right now. But if we have to start looking at providing the service to them, maybe we can look at other things. Instead of asking for more money, maybe cut back on, okay, it's 25 hours. Instead of doing 25 hours, maybe do 20 hours of patrol time. We're still doing call outs, and I don't know what an average call out would be, 20, 21 a month, from what I've seen on our printouts.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could do, I don't know what, if a call out takes an hour or 2 hours, and we can certainly look at that and figure that out, but maybe we could say, okay, anything over 10 call-outs, we'll have to charge an additional or something, I don't know, but, figure something out like that where it could help Elk Run, because I want to help Elk Run, and I know every single one of the council members do, and I don't want to see this back and forth, where we're not supporting people, because we're just trying to say, hey, we need to at least make what we are providing, we need to get that service provided to them, and then we need to get paid for that service. Because, it's not fair that the city of Evansdale has to provide a service and not get paid for it. So, I just wanted to say that, sorry.
No, that's everybody's, that's what it's about, we need to hear from our counselors, you guys make the decisions here,
So
so.
my only deal
I
with
had that. one thing I wanted to say when you guys get a minute.
Go ahead, Susan.
See if you can go.
I confirmed concur with what Christie's saying to a great extent. I did visit with the mayor earlier, and my thought process is on this. Seems like a lot of these things come up last time, last wire, last minute. And I really hope that we take a serious look at this 6 months or better in advance of another contract if we go this way. And everybody sit down and discuss this. And like she said, have a workable deal both ways, not just because one side is this. And I mean, we're going to be facing some increases and things coming up in the future, and we don't have anybody to fall back on and tell us, so, you know, we won't charge you that, we won't do this. Their sewer plant concerns me increases. And what's our sewer plant going to be next year? Is ours going to go up $2 million or more? I mean, I just want it to be fair and equitable, like Christy said, but to get some dialogue more in depth instead of one meeting or partial nitbits, like she says, and then a decision's got to be made. I don't like that kind of theory at all. I do support, I want it on the record, I never am under the assumption of not supporting Elk Run at all. We've never said nothing bad at Elk Run. If we looked at things that have been done, I think Elk Run has done us some wrongdoing. But okay, I guess we're willing to let that go. But in the same token, like Christy says, we got to be fair both ways. And next time, I hope we really look at all this and say, okay, if they would choose down the road that the cost we come up with that it's not going to work, well then it's not going to work for them. I mean, there's got to be an in between and not just give me. Thank you.
The only thing I got against is hours, not against it, but like 20 or 25 hours, they still have full service. If they get a call, we go same way. Just like I said, I don't see a squad car sitting in front of my house 8 hours a day either, but maybe you don't see one even in a week. But they're getting the same service as the citizens of Evansdale are getting at 1/3 the cost is what
And I, you know, I understand and I appreciate all of your opinions regarding this. On that 24/7 thing, I was actually told by your son, Tom, that because it's a required service, that we're required to respond even if we have no agreement with them.
I don't know if that's crews and Waterloo don't come out here, that you very seldom ever see.
Blackhawk County is.
Yeah, Blackhawk
I
County.
know Blackhawk
does,
County
that's-
is,
that's-
but I was-
yeah, Blackhawk County's gotta show up no matter which town they need help,
Yeah.
that's what they're there for.
But it kind of went back to a comment that Justin made. Borders are man-made. When it comes to an emergency and we have professional emergency personnel, they're gonna respond.
I guess
So-
then what I'd like to say is if I'm in Elk Run and I have an emergency, I would really like all and everybody to show up. So if
Yeah.
Evansdale comes and Elk Run comes or Elk Run don't come, but Evansdale comes, Blackhawk County comes, Waterloo comes, thank you. Because I'd probably cut something off.
Well, the biggest problem with this whole contract thing was really, they're finding ways to calculate this. And one looks worse than the other, and one looks better than the other, depending on how you calculate it. If you calculate it by homes, do you calculate it by population base? Do you count the kids? Do you count, and things of that sort? So, in all the discussions, well, the one thing that we found out is that we were very close to being where we needed to be. And possibly the 3 years will give us more time to keep up with it better, so next time we are better informed. We know what's happening and how it's happening. At that point, this really has nothing to do with the sewer plant, in my opinion, only because, we don't have a bunch of money either, And so if you let spend your money one way and it affects you another way, sorry, but that's the way it's gonna go. But what I do like is the 3 years. We're getting closer to that line to where it needs to work. From what I understand, they've pretty much already agreed to this situation. And we've got the time that we can take a look at it and not go broke doing it, then why not?
Yeah.
So,
And I'm under, am I in the, do I understand this right? We were doing a yearly contract, but now we're looking at.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, it would be a 3-year. When it comes to council, it'll be a 3-year agreement.
That's why those, the percentage of rise,
Yes,
that's why it was, because every year it was trying to catch up more.
okay,
You know,
okay.
so,
Yeah, I mean, the 1, 3, and 3 to me, I think we probably could come to an agreement on, I think. But, and I would highly recommend that on year 2.5, we start looking at it and we start talking, because this has been kind of a touchy subject, and the more you talk about it and the more it gets out there, I think the more emotions get involved, and it can just not be any good.
I'm in total agreement. Well, that being said, no other changes in the budget whatsoever from the several times that we've discussed this. So I'll call anyone for public discussion. Okay. Mayor, council reports, anything for council? Yeah, I did. And there was none.
I would like to bring up something,
Hey, Charlie, get next to the microphone,
can you hear me?
talk a little bit.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
now I can.
I'd like to talk a little bit about the spot that we're trying to fill, type scenario. Deanne reached out to me and that found a gentleman that had very good credentials as possible city clerk. An accounting background, which would be extremely nice to have in that situation. And very, very motivated person, and whatnot. The biggest stickler is that he wanted more money. He wanted $70,000 a year. I started reaching out to towns our size and found that as a city clerk, we're not in the ballpark anymore. I know nobody wants to hear that, but money-wise, we're short on the city clerk side. I was actually pretty astounded to find out that most city clerks are the 65 to 70 range as a city clerk. Everybody was like 70,000, thinking that was a whole lot. So we need to look down the line and start doing some homework and find out what other options there are, whether we're going to get there to where we are competitive with people that can run the city. Should we start looking at a city manager instead of a city clerk, since we're getting, quotes that are, within that realm of things? So it opens up a couple of doors that we're going to have to look at in the future to be able to get good quality employees in there. So I just wanted to bring that up.
We tried a city manager one time, and that was the biggest fiasco that we ever had.
What was wrong with it, Ron? What happened?
Everything, he didn't, a lot of his citizens, this town wants things run a certain way, and he wanted to do things a different way, and, he didn't last long, 2 months.
Charlie, I think if you're talking about that city clerk, I think with our pay structure, nothing against what you say, we might find a great person for a great price. But I find it very testy that you'd have a mayor sitting there for $20-some thousand less, and all the other employees thousands of dollars less, just because of per capita, we can't locate one only for that kind of money. I think, unless I didn't hear everything, I think we really need to research. Elfriend gets $41,000 a year for their city clerk. And I think ours, when she was a city clerk, probably done a tremendously different, better job than Elfriend. But I've checked some communities, and I haven't run across small communities that are paying $70,000 for city clerks. But I'll start doing a little bit more homework, cause I got free time on my hands now. And to see what city clerks in the same size
Well, and that-
municipality pay.
And that's what I'm asking, because I don't wanna keep turning down qualified individuals because of the pay if we are out of whack a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So if everybody does a little bit of homework, maybe this week, go back with some homework and say, hey, call a town, let's all come back and say what we found out. And at least get a good feeling on what's going on. So, because the biggest problem that you have in government, and we've talked about this, is that the clerk and the mayor, there's supposed to be separation there. The clerk works for the council, the mayor works for the mayor, and we don't have that separation right now. And that's a little unsettling to me, And I'm sure it makes your job harder, because you're like straddling a fence, so. All right?
Anyone else?
I would just like to invite everybody, so this is my dual hat piece, but the Evansdale Fire Department, the association's chili supper is coming up. We are trying it this year, as where we had to cancel and skip it next, but it is this Saturday down at the AMVets. Of course, mayor and council, we always love to see you there. I will be there, with or without my kids, depending on when my wife grabs me and I have to go back and grab them, but it's a good time, good food, it's a good fundraiser, and if anyone needs tickets ahead of time, certainly contact any fire department member, otherwise they will be sold at the door.
What time?
11 to 7, so both for lunch and dinner. And we bring back the homemade desserts and all the other goodies, and chili's fired up the night before, and peanut butter sandwiches and loose beef sandwiches and everything else.
Do you have people like donating the baked goods, or do you need more baked goods?
We will never turn down baked goods, but for the most part, it is all done by the membership. So that's one requirement where, so between the spouses, the significant others, and some of the guys are really good cooks, not to put a gender role on it, but some of them bake like crazy, so we end up with some really good desserts.
Do you have good ones?
We've even tried to see, it was brought up this year even to do like scratch cupcakes, because they donate and do, like, let's do that, or, bring in some Perkins pies or something like, and a bunch of us old seniors that have been around a while, I'm like, nope, you can't do it, they will revolt. I will tell you right now, there are people that will show up just because they know the types of desserts that will be out.
I have my tickets, so I encourage everyone else to get theirs.
And it's a good time, not only does it support the AMVets, they're great supporters of us as well, on the fire department and then the city side as well, but it's just good to get out and amongst our communities, so.
And thank you for that, Counselor Sable.
You're welcome.
I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.